Hey, Michael, good to see you. This is Laura from Nations Lending with Michael, and we're going to talk about real estate and mortgages. And good to see you, Michael. Happy New Year again.
Thank you, Laura, so much. Great to see you again. I'm really eager to discuss housing affordability, especially when it relates to real estate and lending. For those of you who are joining for the first time, my name is Michael Kirkyanik with Macintosh Realtors. Been serving the Maryland community for over 20 years, and I survive by feeding off of Pez dispensers and Pez candy behind
He
me.
lives off of Pez candy.
That's right. That and
I have to eat
bourbon.
a lot of Pez in a day to kind of
Um,
feel anywhere remotely full.
yes, yes, indeed. And on the days when I need more Pez, Laura, those are the days when my dentist is really happy to see me.
Oh yeah, you're gonna just reinforce his ability to pay for his kids to go to college.
Yeah, or that second boat for the Chesapeake Bay. How's
Ooh,
that?
a boat.
So, but speaking of affordability, what do we have? What do we have
Boats are not
as discussion
affordable.
topics, Laura?
So we're going to talk about housing affordability and just do walk through some examples or a example to show like a comparison from last year and going into this year. And hopefully it will help maybe bring some encouragement to buyers, knowing that, they can afford, and even so that everybody kind of stops looking backwards and, pining over those times, the 12 plus years that the Federal Reserve kept interest rates, artificially low, and we had rates in the upper twos, threes, fours. And then, it just got blasted last year, and now we're in the sixes somewhere for the most part. So that's what we're going to talk about. It is a big topic, and just the government, they like to, make these indexes and track things and record things and crunch numbers, make statistics. But the definition of affordable housing, or the housing affordability index, is when a family can buy a home and their payment is somewhere around 30% of their gross monthly income. So if you're spending about 30%, give or take a little bit, of your income on your housing expense, that is considered affordable. So you
Okay,
want
so
to be somewhere in the 30, maybe 35%. So if you make $10,000 gross per month, you could spend somewhere between, 2,800 and 3,500 and be in affordable housing
you mean 100,000, not 10,000?
per month.
Yes. Oh. So,
But I
oh,
encourage
per
everybody to
month.
try to make $100,000 a month.
Oh,
That'd
right.
be,
I didn't catch the part about the month. So I thought it
yeah.
was, yeah. Okay. So that makes sense. So if your gross per month is 10,000, which means your annual salary gross is 120, then around $3,000 would be the
Yeah,
way,
you're
would
in
be a
that.
ballpark.
Yeah, if you're in the upper, whatever, 27, 2,800 up to like 3,500, which would be 35% of your gross take home, of your gross income that month, that's considered affordable. So that should be affordable to you with all your other expenses. I mean, obviously staying closer to the 3,000 gives you a little more wiggle room, but that's what they're talking about. So keeping that number somewhere in that vicinity should make the housing affordable to you. Now it changes with everybody. That's the big thing, is like everybody's spending habits are completely different. Everybody is unique, and their financial situation is completely unique, because some people don't spend as much on whatever car payments, student loan payments, credit cards, eating out. Some people don't have daycare expense and these things. So it's very important for people to know how they spend their money, how they like to spend their money when they're considering how much house payment they want to take on.
Okay, so what about somebody who works sales and commission? Do you, as a lender, extrapolate that over annual and average out their monthly? Because say if somebody makes, say, 100,000 in sales annually, but most of it's like in the winter because they plow the streets. Do you average it out per month by going the annual like that? Is that how you guys do it?
Yeah, so if your commission income, that goes under the bucket of self-employed. So
Right,
commission is self-employed, even
right.
though you have an employer. Like I'm commissioned, but I have an employer. So they have to look at my tax returns, see if I take any deductions, the same as they look at for self-employed borrowers. And then we use the net after any expenses that we write off. Now, of course, if you're W-2 and commission, you can't really write off anything anymore because they took away those deductions. So, but we use your net and then, yes, we average it over the 12 months. So if you are self-employed, you also have to be disciplined to put money aside in the months that are booming for you to carry you through for the months that are lean. So when you're at the top of the mountain and you're just making money because those are your robust months, you got to put some in savings so that when you get down in the valley, you can make up that difference. So it's a little bit trickier for self-employed, commission, business owners. So you really have to put some disciplines in place. Because if you get a paycheck every week or every other week, you know what it's going to be, and it's easier for you to establish this thing called a budget.
Yes. Yes, indeed. So tell us some more about housing affordability. What else can you share with us?
So I'm going to do a screen share and we're going to look at like a little example here. So hopefully you can see my screen that says affordability.
Yes.
Okay, good. So last year, we were looking, say, on average, a $400,000 house, and rates were in the mid threes. That made the principal and interest payment. Now we're excluding property taxes and home insurance, but just principal and interest was just about $1,800 a month.
Mhm.
But according to government statistics, the average household income, and this is a two-wage earner household, was about $9,000, and that's $108,000 annual salary. So you have a husband and wife or two partners, and they're making 50 some thousand a piece. That's pretty average, for a two-wage earner family. So that is pretty affordable. They're in that affordability. But now we've seen with the appreciation that we got last year on most houses, 10% on average, that same house would be about 440 this year. And at 6.25, that same house is going to be 2709, which is $913 more per month, that's a big jump. And people will be like, oh my God, I can't afford another $900 a month for the same house just because interest rates basically doubled. But again, the government was looking at the numbers on how are the incomes increased, because there's a lot of employment opportunity out there, and to attract good employees, a lot of businesses are paying more for the same job. So according to ADP, the people that stayed in their same job got an increase of 7.6%. And people that switched jobs got an average increase of 15% more for a similar job. So we just took a 9% average here, which meant incomes increased by $810. So it really pretty much offset how much the housing payments went up with incomes going up. Now, these are averages all over the whole country. So individually, maybe your income didn't go up. But in here in Maryland, we see a lot of this because we have a little more insulation because of being around the federal government. But we also see from inflation that the cost of gasoline, food, and services also has gone up. So really there was somewhat of a gap in affordability because these other expenses went up. So now they're talking about incomes maybe going up another 5%, which would help offset the cost of inflation. So really housing, even though you're going to pay more for your housing when your income goes up, you're still kind of even, that you have more income coming in so you can afford to pay at the higher interest rates. So in a lot of cases, housing is still affordable for a lot of people that have had the benefit of, they've gotten raises, or they even got a bigger raise because they switched jobs, because that new employer really needs an employee, so they're going to pay you more. So that could be a benefit for people, thinking about whether they should stay or go in their employment, just looking around and see if you can get a better job.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is interesting. I'm trying to
Kind of,
digest this too. With the interest rates, doubling in the last 12, 18 months, I do know firsthand of many buyers who were priced out of homes that they were first looking at because of the monthly payment increased, by, in this example, $1,800 to $2,700. That kind of prices. So what we had to do was we had to readjust our sites, and we had to look at homes that were less than $400,000, closer to 300,000. And some people went ahead and compromised, and some people said, no, I'll just wait for the interest rates to go back down.
yeah, and there have been a lot of people that have sat on the fence, so to speak, and put everything on pause. And we have seen that in the housing market, just the volume of houses being sold going down, because there has just, I think there's just a lot of thinking going on, and worrying, and there's so much negativity. But if for those folks that did get a raise, or they know their annual raise is coming up, the same house can still be affordable for them, if they did get that increase. Now they're talking about, and this was done at the end of 22, so that's why they're saying next year. So the same house that's 440, as rates do come back down, because of the way they calculate for inflation, we're seeing inflation kind of getting more under control, and the inflation numbers should start coming down, and mortgage interest rates follow inflation. So with inflation coming down a little bit, rates should come down a little bit. And a lot of experts are calculating that we should, by mid-year or so, get back down into the 5 range. Now, I don't know if we're going to see 5, because I didn't see in all of the research that I did that they were actually taking into account the incredible amount of government spending. And I think that is something that the Federal Reserve keeps raising the short-term rates because of that, because they're trying to keep, get inflation under control. But if they did come back down in the fives, then you would see, that payment coming back down by, you know, $400 or so, which would be
Yeah,
nice.
so I'm optimistic that the interest rates will go down to the fives, but correct me if I'm wrong, Laura, but the fives were the interest rates prior to the pandemic, weren't they? So we're kind
Yeah.
of back to where we were before the pandemic. And so if people were looking at houses before the pandemic and didn't get something during the pandemic when interest rates dropped 1.5, 2%, then now if they still think that the fives are high, then it's a matter of perspective rather than reality, correct?
Yes. And I think because rates went up so rapidly and went up so high, I mean, we did have rates in the sevens. Maybe all of those folks, when they hear five this time, they'll kind of appreciate the sound of five.
Right, right. I
So their
agree. And what we've
perspective on
seen
it.
with buyers, what I was gonna say was what with the buyers too, is even if the interest rates are still at around six, even or high fives, you know, it comes down to why they need to buy a house. And
Mhm.
for this discussion doesn't really matter, but if they need to buy a house for whatever reason, they could always get that interest rate in the high fives or low sixes and then look to do maybe work with you on a buy down or an adjustable rate mortgage, or even just go fixed and then refi later when the interest rates go down, right?
Yes, absolutely. And for those folks that did buy and say they got a rate in the upper sixes or the seven or low sevens, when rates do come back down, somewhere low six or into the fives, there's going to be a massive opportunity for them to refinance. I mean, all of us, I mean, my first house was at 11, we refinanced multiple times,
Yep.
and as rates came down every percent or so. So there's going to definitely be golden opportunities. And I think when rates get to fives, you're going to probably see, because there's still a housing shortage, you're going to probably see those multiple offer situations again. So it might be better for people to jump in even if rates are in the sixes, because there's not that competition going on right now that they're going to see again as rates get lower and lower. And we're hoping they do get lower and lower. Of course, there's things can happen, but this is what the projection is for by mid-year, but I certainly think there's opportunity now, even if you have good credit, you get rate in the sixes, to take advantage of not having that competition with other buyers.
Right. And on the real estate side of things, we are seeing inventory starting to increase incrementally. Um, we are seeing houses stay on the market a little longer than they did during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And and we are seeing though that if a house is priced right or better than right, we are still seeing multiple offers. So very important to get that pre-approval first, see how it fits in with the household budget, and work with you, Laura, on making sure they're aware of how their monthly mortgage and closing costs will affect their household budget. And then I'll step in and help them find the house that meets their criteria.
Yes, absolutely. And there's other things they can do to make the house more affordable, and that is to, keep their other spending tight. Like during times when, the economy, there's a lot of nervousness in the economy, it's time to, tighten up and maybe not do some of the extras or all of the extras, like we talked about the other week, was, reduce spending on eating out, reduce buying, things that we want for more immediate gratification. You know, we have to encourage Michael here to slow down on how much Pez candy he eats because, you know, but his dentist does love him. I mean, he admitted that.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah,
sometimes you have to cut Pez out of your budget. And you got to think out there, like, what is your Pez candy? Could be something else.
yeah.
But there's an
It's funny.
equivalent. Is
Yeah,
it
there.
Starbucks? Is it, you know, because you can, I bet you, like, you look at your receipts for the month and you, or if you take a little notebook, you write down all your expenditures every month. You see, you know, how much you're spending on things that you can do without and still be happy all day. You know,
Right.
Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, Wawa, sodas,
Well, I tell you, that was a
eating out.
really, really good slide because these are the kinds of discussions that every buyer will have with their lender. And it's a confidential conversation. I'm not involved in the money side of things. And it's just something where every purchaser should be ready, willing, and able to be open and honest with their lender. And with you, Laura, I know that everything's a cone of silence around you. And I know that you don't divulge anything with any of the clients that you work with. But it's just important for the buyers to give you everything you ask for, the documents, the taxes, whatever you need, Laura, so that we can get them on a solid foundation and on towards wealth through real estate. So this was a great, great slide, Laura.
Yeah, and it just really is encouraging to see that, you know, for most of the folks that got income raises, you know, you can still afford to be buying. And the one thing that we didn't compare is how much rents have gone up. So, you know, for renters, a lot of times buying a house can be more affordable than that rent because they don't know how much the rent's going to go. Once they get a house, they know what their house payment is going to be and they can, you know, adjust their spending for that. But it's really, like you said, and I so appreciate that you said that, you know, providing the documentation, being open with your lender is so important. My clients know me to be their confidant. I'm always putting them first and their best interest at first. And we have a lot of the kind of tough conversations and bringing up that B word budget. I call it their spending plan,
There we go. Good,
but
good.
it's
Keep
the
it
same
positive.
thing.
Because someday Pez is in my spending plan. So even though you tell me to put the brakes on as I'm buying a house, afterwards I want to know that I will have renewed interest in expanding my Pez collection.
Right. And Michael does accept Pez gifts. So if you have find one, I like a little cool one, he will gladly accept that as a thank you gift.
Absolutely.
And he
Well,
it will be well deserved. He's not asking for anything that he isn't going to earn. So for sure, for sure.
thanks,
But I
Laura.
think housing is affordable in most areas. Now, this is averages over the country, but buying a home is the foundation of building your wealth and changing just the whole trajectory for your family and generations to come. So definitely just call us. Let's get you started and we will help you every step of the way.
Laura, great topic, timely topic. Thanks everyone for watching. Michael Kurtianik with Macintosh Realtors. Message us below, like, subscribe, and save, and share with your friends.
Absolutely. Share with your friends and do connect with us. We're happy to help answer any of your questions. And we look forward to you becoming a homeowner. Laura signing off, and we will see everybody again real soon. Oops. Can't find the button. Thanks. Sorry. My screen has gone crazy. Anyways, I'll have to hit end because I can't find the other button.